everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In case you don't know me or it's your first time here, I'm Amanda. I'm an oil painter based in Manchester in the UK, and I recently was lucky enough to take part in Landscape Artist of the Year Series 11, and the show is currently running at the moment, and my episode airs on the 11th of February, so just a few weeks away. And I thought I'd jump on here and share this video because when I was looking to take part and prepping for the show and the recording day, I noticed that there was very little out there on YouTube in terms of what to think about and what to prepare for ahead of the day itself and your heat. So if you're thinking of applying, or if you've been lucky enough to be accepted or selected, then this video is for you. So before I get into my top tips, I just wanted to give a bit of positive encouragement. So if you're on the fence or wondering whether you should give it a go or not, my one thing I would say is apply. Just do it. Honestly, I applied for Portrait Artist of the Year maybe a handful of times, and I was never lucky enough to get onto that. And to be fair, I don't blame them for my attempts in the past, but actually applying for Landscape Artist taught me a whole new practice, and I really couldn't believe that I would get through. And when I did, I was blown away. And actually now urban landscapes and plein air painting are really a core part of my practice, and I don't think it would have happened had I not had this opportunity and the encouragement from the show itself. So if you don't have the confidence, I would just say just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose, really. So my first point is probably really obvious. It's all about sort of time management. So for those of you who are fans of the show, you'll know that the challenge is to finish a painting on location within a 4-hour time period. And if you're anything like me, if you're a studio painter, paintings can take days, weeks, months to produce. So finding a way to get your painting process down to 3 hours or 4 hours is really important as a first step. So I try to do too many things at once. I try to compress my process. I try to learn to paint from life and experiment all at the same time, and that really is just too much to do at once. So a first step I would say is really focus on the time aspect and think about how can you get what you do as a painter, whatever it is, your process, your style, how can you speed that up in a way that is almost like a shorthand for what you would do in longer sessions, and really try and hone in on how can you get that same effect in a really short space of time, because ultimately they need something that's going to be resolved within that 3 hours that feels somewhat finished. And I think if you can do that, if you can do that confidently and go in knowing that you have the ability to do that, you'll feel so much better on the day. And the reason that I say get your painting down to 3 hours and not 4 is that nothing will prepare you for the amount of interruptions that happen on the day. You will have photographs, you will have interviews, you will be interjected multiple times throughout that 4-hour period. And also that sort of stopping and starting, if you're anything like me, it takes a bit of time to get back into the flow. So I'd almost prepare for the worst case, prepare for 3, and if you find you've got more time in the bank, brilliant. So that would be my number one tip, would be get your painting practice down to 3 hours. I was really worried about everything being perfect, trying to cram everything into 4 hours, but if there's a way that you can make your work as coherent and resolved as possible in 3 hours, find a shorthand, find a way to sketch down a process that works for you, but it still looks like your work and it's still consistent, whether it's through colour, through the medium, then try that, because the whole idea is a lot easier if you go in there with that in mind and you think, I just need something that is good enough on the day, because they're not going to expect a masterpiece. Nobody can expect a masterpiece unless, of course, that's something that you do every day and your work really is that quick. So I would go in accepting that the piece isn't going to be the best piece you've ever done, and once you kind of get over that, then the whole thing becomes a lot easier to stomach and you don't sort of overthink everything. And another side note really as well is that I just wanted to sort of reiterate that going in with the mindset that this will not be the best piece that you ever do. It can't be. And I think if you let go of that hang up of, oh my God, I'm going to be on TV, this must be the best thing I ever do because so many people are going to see it. You can kind of get over that and go, do you know what? I can only do what I can do in 3 hours. I think mentally you'll feel a lot happier with how the day goes. The judges aren't sort of looking at every single brushstroke that you're doing. They really care about your decision making, your composition, what choices you're making and your thought process, and ultimately consistency. So again, find a way to make your piece feel as resolved as possible within 3 hours, yet still consistent with the rest of your work and what you do as an artist. Okay, so point 2 is sort of separate the skills really. So think about time first and then move on to painting from life or plein air painting. So for me, I'd never painted from life before. I paint primarily from photographs. And so I tried to do, as I mentioned, do too many things at once, and it got a little bit overwhelming for me. So like I say, if you can get your process down from 4 hours to 3, first stage, then look at plein air painting. So if you've never done it before, go somewhere quiet as a first step, get out and about and paint from life. It is amazing. It's a really exciting thing to do, and a really enjoyable experience, and there is actually nothing quite like it. So if you can paint from life, do it as much as you possibly can, and then get out and about, get out, bring an easel and some paintbrushes, even paint in your garden, and figure out the difference between painting from life and painting from photographs so that you're prepared for that scenario of being on location. And that will kind of give you a sense of how you might want to lean on technology like photographs or your phone, but also the great things about painting from life like light and movement and the changes throughout the day and how you're going to tackle that. So I think that's really important to at least have a bit of experience of what that's like and what you personally like and want to bring with you on the day itself. So my third point links back to the last one. So practice painting from life, but in a public place. So the first time I plein air painted, I went to a national trust near me, and I thought I chose a private spot, but actually it was in a pathway on kind of a riverside, and lots of people were walking past me really close, and I couldn't go 10 minutes without somebody interrupting me and asking to see my painting and asking questions. And at the time it was a little bit frustrating because I was timing myself and trying to get fast at painting from life. But looking back, it couldn't have been a better form of practice because, as I've mentioned a few times, you will be interrupted throughout the day. So if you can get used to that kind of interjection, chatting to people actually about your work, because I know if you're anything like me, you might be shy, and actually talking to strangers about it can be uncomfortable. So it's a really good way to practice how you're going to respond to people when they do ask you really random questions, because they might actually come up on the day itself. And so for me, that really is a good exercise because it's not just about learning to paint from observation, but it's also learning how to re-enter a painting after periods of interruption, and how do you sort of keep that momentum going. My fourth point is to mentally and physically prepare for a very long and intense day. So it is actually quite a big point and something that I don't think should be underestimated, because you have to be on set from around 7 in the morning and it doesn't finish till 7 at night. And so for me, when I was in London, it was a very early start and a very long day. For me, I was in London, so I decided that the day before I was going to get down to London early. My husband and I had a really long walk around London, so we basically tired ourselves out so that I would then get a good night's sleep. We had a nice meal. I didn't have any alcohol, so that wouldn't interrupt my sleep patterns, and I thought I was going to be nervous, but actually I was sort of in bed by 10 and asleep, and I got a good night's sleep, thankfully, but I thought I might not sleep a wink. So I would say try and get some fresh air, eat well, do all good things, eat well, drink well, be healthy, because it really will serve you well on the day. And if you can afford it, I would say travel to your heat the day before. I wouldn't do some crazy travel at 4 a.m. to get there, unless of course you live close. So yeah, book a night at a hotel the night before. It's worth it. You will get paid some expenses towards your hotel and travel. I think it's quite small, it's only £100, but I think it's well worth the investment for the exposure you're getting. So you want to make sure you come across as well as possible on the day. Okay, so point number 5, have a plan and stick to it. So again, might seem obvious, but again, hopefully by this point you'll have practiced a lot, you'll have got a process down and in place. But yeah, if you think about the chunks of time that you have in those 3 hours or 4 hours to make a painting and how that works for you. So for me, it was, okay, in the first 20 minutes, I'm not going to worry about painting. I want to think about composition, take some photographs, do some sketches. Maybe the first hour is blocking in, then second hour is detail, and then third, finessing. That's an example, and that's the plan that I wanted to go in with. And when you watch the episode, I don't think I'm giving too much away, but that plan soon went out the window because I was all flustered with the nerves and the cameras and everything. So I would say stick to your guns, stick to your plan. They're not looking for reinvention on the day. They are looking for you as an artist, and you need to trust your instincts, your process and how you work. So really trust that, go with it, and don't deviate from your plan. Please don't. Judges respond to, I think, the clarity of your intent, the consistency, how you come across as an artist. And if you suddenly paint in a way that you've never painted before, it's not a real fair reflection on your work or who you are as an artist. So I would say, really do stick to your guns, stick to your instincts, and don't be anything like me. Don't let imposter syndrome get in the way of you overthinking every mark. Really believe in who you are. You're there for a reason. They've picked you out of 2,000 people. Lean into it, do what you do, and honestly, I wish you kind of all the best from that point of view. And my point 6 is bring your studio comforts with you. So again, comes back to consistency, but bring your actual materials with you that you use day in and day out. Bring your favorite brushes. Bring more than one panel or surface. You don't want to be there on the day and think, oh God, I wish I bought my square canvas. I wish I bought a 16:9 or a circular canvas. You want to have as many options that feel right to you there as possible on the day. When it comes to planning, you do get maybe 20 minutes before they start rolling any cameras where you're just sat at your pod and you can't touch anything, you can't start painting, but you can take in your surroundings. So I would say, bear that in mind when you're planning your session. That those 20 minutes you could be getting settled in the space, calming your nerves, taking in what's in front of you and starting to think about what you want to paint so that you're not rushing when the cameras start. And also, it's a great chance for you to take some photos for social media because they do let you post that you've been involved. You can't share your work on the day you can't give anything away from the heat, but they do encourage you to say that you've taken part. So I would encourage you to do that because this is really good exposure. One of the hardest challenges for artists is getting yourself out there in front of people. So would definitely take 5 minutes, get your friend or partner to take a photo of you because you'll appreciate it later as well. Point 7 would be dress for the weather and bring lots of options as well. This one is really practical but really important. So prepare for all weathers, be it bringing a raincoat, a sun hat, layers. You really don't know in these climbs and what the weather will bring. So for me, I was in a heat wave. My eyes really hurt from the glare on the water, and I actually got sunburnt. They actually asked me another point as well, is that from a consistency point of view, you have to start wearing what you intend to wear throughout the entire day. So if you're going to wear a hat, you need to start with your hat right at the very beginning. And for me, I did bring a hat, but because I didn't realise that, I thought the interviews would be done without. I just said, oh, well, I'm not going to wear a hat. And that was a bit vain of me, but I just wanted people to see my face so that they'd recognise me for the exposure and stuff. And I think it's probably a little bit vain, but I wanted, it's a TV show, and I wanted, I wanted people to recognise me and see who I am. So I just felt like it was an opportunity. So bear that in mind. What you wear at the beginning, you'll be wearing throughout. Choose something comfortable and practical, and really you'll thank me in the long run. And so that's it from me. But really, it was a day like no other. It's a day I'll never forget. And I got to meet so many artists that I'm still in touch with now on Instagram. And it's a shared experience that you really can't replicate in any other fashion. You'll be bonded with the artists that you meet for life, I'm pretty sure, because it's quite the experience. And I'm genuinely glad that I took part. I'm going to end where I started and say, if you're on the fence, really go for it, apply. You've got nothing to lose. And if nothing else, it can be a catalyst for how you paint in the future. So for me, I would never have done this painting behind me or these paintings if I hadn't have tried landscape painting. So give it a go, good luck, enjoy it. And if you have decided to take part, I'd love to know. Drop me a comment below. And if you do have any more specific questions, I've only touched on kind of the obvious things, but yeah, drop me a comment and I'll do my best to reply. It would be wrong of me not to say, but Series 11, it's out now in the UK. My heat airs on Wednesday, the 11th of February. It's on Sky Arts, Freeview, and Now TV. So I really do hope you'll tune in and cheer me on. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.